Before we jump into this one, guys, I just want to talk to you quickly about cryptocurrency. Now, I know the cost of living crisis makes it difficult for everyone, but I really do recommend crypto. Now, if you are new to crypto, you haven't heard about it, please do your own research before investing anything. But there is a perfect app here in Australia called CoinSpot. If you download the app and use my link in the bio or this QR code, that link, once you've signed up and you've put in your first deposit, will give you $10 worth of Bitcoin. That's right, guys, $10 worth of Bitcoin. Now, you can keep that Bitcoin or you can trade it for a different type of crypto, whether that be XRP, Ethereum, Solana, whatever it is, whatever you guys are interested in, that is what you can do. Now, guys, you've got to jump in quickly because crypto prices are set to soar shortly. So you want to jump on now because Donald Trump is the first pro-crypto president, which means he is going to set crypto off to the moon. And you guys don't want to miss out on the boom that is coming. So, guys, remember, jump down below my link, copy it, do what you need to do, click, scan the QR code. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I promise you that. Right, now on to the video. G'day, guys, and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So, guys, in today's video, I will be picking my first SuperCoach team of 2025. Now, when I say first, there are obviously going to be changes made to this one. We've got trials. Some of these players may not be in the best 17. You never know. You never know. So, or the round one team, I should say, not the best 17. But, yeah. So there's obviously going to be some changes made. So I'd love to hear your opinions, though, guys, when I do select these players. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of changes between us. There might be some players that are the same. Then there might be some that we, do differ with. I guess without further ado, let's jump into this. So I'll pretty much just name my player, and we might talk about some options, and then I'll name my player. We'll do it that way. So obviously Harry Grant was a player that I looked at quite heavily. Now, obviously he is the best hooker in the NRL, but I don't want to pay that much for a dummy half. Not at the start of the year when I can get sort of like cash cows that can generate a bit of money there. Hooker's not the highest scoring role either, so I think I can use my money better. Cookie, another good option, but him and Little, they're going to share minutes. I don't think either of them are really going to average over that 60 point per game mark there. So I think they will take a little bit of a hit because they will share minutes. Obviously, Cookie will play lock, but I still don't think he'll play 80 minutes. So those players I'm not really looking at. Not looking at a Max Plath. I do think he, while he will still have a pretty big role in the team, I think his minutes will be a lot less than last year, and I don't think he'll be getting that 63 average again. Apikurisau is very interesting. If he gets the goal kicking, I'm intrigued by it. But again, I really don't want to pay over 600K for a hooker. Reece Robson, another good shout. But again, I'm not sold on Reece. There's a player I'm looking at, and I'll explain in a second. Cameron McInnes, great player, very underrated player in my opinion, but not a player that I'm looking at. I'm actually looking at the next man down, Connor Watson. Connor Watson is my pick for dummy half. Tyler Moriarty is probably your next man up for dummy half at the Roosters, with Sandon Smith obviously going to be in the halves there. So you're not going to have him take backup hooking minutes. And I doubt Victor Radley will play any backup hooking minutes either. I think Connor Watson is pretty much sold for an 80-minute performance every single week. I think he will generate good money, which eventually I think I could utilize to get Harry Grant. All right, the next player I'm going with here, somewhat cheap. It's Sandon Smith. So Sandon Smith's my second one. Again, as I said, he's going to play halfback for the Roosters, or you'd think at one of the half positions. He's going to generate some good money. I think he's a great cash cow. A couple of other options you could go with. Lachlan Croker is injured, so Gordon Chan Kum Tong is a good shout as well for another player that you could utilise there. Tyler Moriarty is here at 198k, but I don't think I don't see the Roosters using him like that. Outside of that, not too many options that really stand out to me better than Sandon Smith. So I'm going Sandon Smith because he will play 80 minutes every single week. And I think he'll score somewhere between that 30 to 50 sort of mark every week. And I'll take that. He's going to generate money. I'm happy with that selection. All right, the front row forwards. So obviously your top five here, or the top four at least, are the most sought after players. Adam Fanor-Black, we all know what he is capable of. Payne Haas, again, all know what he is capable of. I'm a bit hesitant to go Haas due to his injuries. I'm a bit standoffishy about that. Mitch Barnett, another good shout. So is Joe Tarpany. But under 600k, I'm going Terrell May. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. I think Terrell is going to have a massive year. I reckon he'll play 60 to 80 minutes every single week and probably average close to 70 points for us in SuperCoach. So that is my pick there. I think he's going to be one of the top point scorers when it comes to front row forwards in the NRL Fantasy or SuperCoach. My apologies. All right, the next player, we've got to scroll down a fair bit here because I am going, as you can see, Rabbitohs supporter. So there is going to be some Rabbitohs players in this team. There's actually probably quite a few this year, to be fair, because I do think under Wayne they are going to be phenomenal. And the name of my team is the Lewis Pods. I thought that was clever. A little play on words with Lewis Dodd there. So, yeah, I thought that was a bit clever. You guys might not, but I did. So I'm going to Vita Totola. I think 343 for Totola is such a good pick. He's only owned by 1% of people at this point of time. I think he'll get that starting front rower role for the Rabbitohs. I don't know, how he's going to go with it coming back from his injury, but I do think that he is going to put up some pretty decent numbers. I'm pretty confident about it. It might be the wrong decision. Who knows? We'll soon find out. But Totola is my pick there. All right, the bench. We're going to continue to scroll down here. My first player, and this one I'm umming and ahhing about. So I've got two options for the first one. One option is obviously Royce Hunt. I think Royce Hunt, I think he can provide 25 to 35 points off the bench and be sort of a cash cow and generate a bit of money there for us. But another one that I'm looking at, and I really like the look of this young fella, is Loco Pacifica Tonga. I think he is going to be massive for the Dragons. In saying that, it will probably take an injury or two for him to come into that side. I've heard he is training the house down there at the Dragons, and he's been doing a lot of work to come into this side. But I think the safe option here out of those two to gain money pretty early on is just to go with, Royce the Choice Hunt. I think it is the right call to make. So I am going Royce Hunt there. You guys may disagree with that one. That's absolutely fine. We're all going to have a different team, and he might not be in it come round one, but that is how I'm going. And then somebody that's about 15k cheaper than him, or 17k I should say, Tom Amone coming over from the Super League. He did play NRL a few years ago, didn't get much of an opportunity, went over to the Super League, played quite well over there, coming back to the Bulldogs, who, they could use an extra front rower or two. I think he's going to generate a bit of cash off the bench, and I am happy to select a Monet there. All right, the second row forwards. My first pick, I'm going straight to somebody that's relatively expensive here. I'm going David Fafita. Now, I could go Crichton, definitely could. Could go Isaiah Yeo. A lot of people, they did last year. Ali Katoa is another good shout. I had him for a good portion of last season as well. But I'm going all in on David Fafita. I think it's the right choice to make there. He's going to be an absolute weapon. I don't think there's any other way you can go about it. I think you've got to have David Fafita in your team. He's going to want to prove a point to Billy Slater. I think we're going to see him average between that 75 and 85 mark in 2025. I'm going straight into David Fafita. My next pick is going to be very controversial. Well, it might be. I personally think it is. He's not owned by too many people. He's actually owned by 3%. I'm going to go Viliami Kikau. Now, again, you guys will probably say, what the hell are you doing? That is a horrible take. You cannot choose him. I'm choosing him. I think he is going to be a very good player. Injuries, really derailed his season in 2024. And I think in 2025, he's going to take a step up and absolutely kill it. A few other players that I did look at, Tino Fasua Malawi, 531k, very cheap, but I just don't know what he's going to be like coming back from injury. I was a bit on the fence about selecting him, and I'm not going to go into this with two Titans players. I don't want to have two players straight away on a bye to kick off the season, but I'm happy to go with Fafita there. Luciano Leilua was another one I looked at, and Papali'i was also another one. But for my third player here, I'm going Kelman Tuolangi. I think he's going to be just as good as he was last year. Obviously, the Eels, they've got a pretty decent pack. Hopgood coming back as well. And there's definitely options there for the Eels, but I think they're going to Kelman's going to find a good role in this side. And if he can average 40 to 50 points, I'm happy with that. And we'll generate a little bit of cash there too, hopefully. And then I could probably flip him to another second rower. So that is what I'm looking at there. All right, next up, I'm going to go... I think we've got to go Finifuiaki. So coming from the Cowboys to the Dolphins, I think, with Ewan Aitken leaving, their forwards are aging, kind of dropping off like flies. They're very injury prone. I think Finifuiaki is going to lock in a second row spot there for the Dolphins. I think he will play 60 to 80 minutes every single game, and I reckon he probably goes 45 to 55 points per game there in SuperCoach. So I'm happy with that one. Happy to lock him in, and hopefully we generate a bit of cash there. All right, the next player I am going with, I looked at Corey Horsburgh. It's between two Raiders. Corey Horsburgh is a mouth-watering pick. If he gets good minutes next year, I think he will be phenomenal. He is somebody that I will probably go with. It's between him and Matty Nicholson, and I think that Corey is probably the safer option here. So I am going to take Horsburgh, but team lists come in, and it looks like Matty Nicholson is killing it in the trials. I'll pop him into this team, but for now, I think Corey Horsburgh is the right move. All right, and to wrap it up, I'm getting another Rabbitoh here for the second row. I'm getting Josh Schuster under Wayne Bennett. I do think at 265k, it is a good pickup there. I think he's going to be much improved under Wayne. He's going to be fit, firing, and ready to go. Injury concerns at the moment, but even if he did miss 2 or 3 rounds, I'm not too stressed. At 265k, I'm still going to take a punt on him. It might come back to bite me, but I'm locking him in there. All right, halfbacks. Straight into it, Nathan Cleary. Look, I had Jerome Hughes for a good portion of last year, and I'm very confident Hughesy does contest for the Dally M once again. I think he will have a massive year, but Cleary is the safest option. I'd say he's probably one of the most picked players in SuperCoach at 46%. I'm not outthinking the room here. I'm just going to go straight into Nathan Cleary, and for backup, I'm taking Lewis Dodd. Got another Rabbitoh. I think Dodd's going to have a pretty big year for South Sydney. Jamie Humphries is a potential get for me as well. You know, the one game he played in 2024, he scored 104 points. He's a very, very good player. And I think that he could, if Dodd comes out slow in the first few rounds, he is definitely, I would say, and Humphries overtakes him, sorry, I would say that he will end up in that team and mine as well. All right, next up, the 5'8s. Straight away, few options you can go with. Obviously, Dylan Brown is a good one. Cam Munster's another good one. A lot of people are going Jerome Luai, which I think is fair. 582. He's an absolute weapon there at the Tigers. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I think under Wayne Bennett, Cody Walker is going to have a massive year. So I'm going to lock in Cody. I think Cody he's in for a big year. I'm confident about that. So I'm going Cody Walker there. And then my other half, I'm going to just go straight in and lock in Kyle Flanagan. He isn't owned by too many people. I think without Ben Hunt, he can really flourish. 403K is a little bit overpriced, I would say. But around this mark, it's probably either him, and then I don't know, I don't really want to spend too much over 400K. So you're looking at maybe Adam Dewey, Tyson Gamble, which is a gamble, no pun intended. Daniel Atkinson, again, another player that I don't know if he'll get minutes. Same with Jack Coggy. I just can't pick these Knights players. Josh Rogers, obviously not getting any minutes there for the Broncos unless one of their halves gets injured. Tanner Boyd's an interesting one, but you've got CHT, you've got Tomato Martin, you got Luke Metcalf. You got that many players looking at the halves position. It's too risky. So I think Kyle Flanagan is a pretty good get at 403K, especially if he has a larger role in this team. All right, on to the wings and centres. All right, so I am going to go straight into Ruben Garrick. I think at 680K, he's quite affordable with what I'm working with here. I think he's going to be an absolute weapon in 2025, especially if Turbo is fit all year. I think Garrick is going to flourish. And Garrick, he's got the kicking duties. I think Manly are going to be in for a big year this year. I think they're going to score a hell of a lot of tries. I think Garrick's going to convert a lot of goals. I'm taking Garrick, and I'm not looking back. Next player is another Rabbitoh coming back from injury. It's Stretch. It's Campbell Graham. He was a great SuperCoach player in 2023. In 2024, unfortunately, he did get injured and miss the entire season. I think at 505K, you've got to have him in your team. You've got to have him somewhere in your team. Probably one of the most owned players as well with 32%. But while I do take a lot of players that are heavily owned, I'm also taking quite a few players that aren't heavily owned as well. So, it's a good mix there. I've got my pods in there, and I've got players that most people will have. I think I've done all right with this mix. I know some of you guys will thoroughly disagree, but hey, look, if it doesn't work, I'll make changes. It is what it is. All right, next up, I'm taking Tyrone Munro. I think he's in for a massive year this year. No Alex Johnston to start the year. I think they're going to look down his wing for a lot of tries there. I think they're going to focus more on the right side, which is where he should be, than they are on the left side. I know they like going to the left. They still will go to the left, but I think it will even out more, especially with Campbell Graham back. They're going to utilise that right side a lot more than they did last year. So, that's the player I'm picking there. And then next up, I'm taking Jack Bird. If he can stay fit and healthy at 379K, that is a steal. That is an absolute steal. I'm not looking back. I'm grabbing Jack Bird and I'm running. All right, next up, I am taking Zach Labert. This one could be a little bit risky, and there's another player that I will be taking in a second that might confuse some of you guys, which I will explain, but Zach Labert was killing it last year, nearly averaging 50 in SuperCoach, only owned by 6%, which is a bit strange, but it all depends on how how they line up round one. If they go with him or they go with a different player, we just never know. There's several options that the Cowboys could go with there, but I do think that Zach Labour is a good pick for me. All right, my next pick is a player that I think will be fighting for a spot with Zach Labour, and that is Robert Derby. So Robert Derby, I'm locking in for now. There will be changes. So if both of these players are in the round one squad, absolutely great. You love to see that. If one of them is, I will obviously make a change there and go with a different option. But for now, I'm pretty happy with these two players in my team. Robert Derby, again, 12% owned. So he is owned by quite a few people, but I'm confident in that pick. And I think the next one you got to go with is a Rooster, and he's owned by 50% of SuperCoach players. That is Robert Toya. He's been spoken about at nauseum. Everybody is speaking about this kid, and I think he is going to absolutely explode in 2025. I'm very confident about that. Robert Toya is my third last pick because there's only three more. Fourth last pick because there's only three more to go. My fullbacks. James Tedesco is somebody that I should probably look at, but I'm not going to. I'm going straight down to the player below him, Tom Trbojevic. Locking in Turbo there. Again, it does scare me that he may not stay fit, but if he does, you're laughing. If you can start the season off with Turbo, I think you're in a bloody good spot. So Turbo is my first pick there of the fullbacks. My second pick, going straight for him, going Isaiah Iongi. He is going to be incredible. Coming through that Panthers system with Parramatta now, I think he is going to be so good this year. Now, he played one game in 2024, scored 47, which is just incredible. I think he's going to be firing and ready to go in a new team. And, I think he's going to generate some good cash that we can utilise to go for, say, Kalen Ponga or a James Tedesco later down the track. Obviously, he's not going to generate that much money, but we can move some pieces around to eventually get him to one of those players for sure. All right, now my flex position. I think there's only one man you go with here. I've seen people pick KP. I've seen people pick Jerome Hughes there, which I think is kind of wild, to be honest. I'm going Latrell Mitchell. As I said at the start, I am very Rabbitohs reliant, very heavy on the Rabbitohs this year. They are my team. I think under Wayne, we can really flourish. So I am going Latrell Mitchell there. I'm saving my team. I'm locking it in. That is my team for 2025. I'm going to optimize it to get the best of this squad here. So let's go through it once more. My dummy halves, Connor Watson and Sandon Smith. My front rowers, Terrell May and Tavita Totola. My bench front rowers, Royce Hunt and Tom Monet. Viliami Kickout, Kelma Tuolangi and Corey Horsburgh are my second row forwards. I am going to change that. I'm going to swap Horsburgh for which doesn't really make too much of a difference, to be honest, because they'll both have that reserve on them, maybe depending on what the squads look like in round one. The rest of the second rows for Fida, Schuster, and Fini Fuiaki. Cleary and Dodd are my halfbacks. Walker and Flanagan are my 5'8". Ruben Garrick, Campbell Graham, Tyrone Munro, and Jack Bird will be my starting centres or CTWs. Zach Labour, Robert Derby, and Robert Toya will be off the bench for me. Latrell Mitchell and, well, I don't want Trell there. I want Turbo there. I probably will captain Turbo. So Turbo and Iongi are my fullbacks, and my flex is obviously Latrell Mitchell. All right, guys, let me know what changes you'd make to this team. I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, there are going to be some people who think that I'm crazy for some of these selections, and that is absolutely fine. That is your choice. But do let me know what changes you would make in the comments. I've got $9,800 left. Also, let me know your thoughts. Should you keep a good bit of money at the start of the year, or should you just try and spend it all, generate that cash through your players, and then utilize that cash to upgrade later? I'd love to hear from you though, guys. Drop it down below in the comments. Also, leave a like and subscribe. So close to 10,000 subs. I can't get there without your help. Thanks, guys.